Well, again, Ralph Rector, I had a question while they were playing I was going to ask you. You mentioned you sang Chicago. When you sat down, you said you're going to Chicago. You
Yes,
the Drury
I am.
Lane? It's good. It's a great city, Chicago.
Yes, it is. It is. And I'm going into the Drury Lane on September 12th through the 17th.
Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure to work there.
Yeah. Ed mentioned when I started to introduce you, he mentioned the song, Why Don't You Do Right? And I said, you know, gee, that's the first thing I really remember hearing you do that was a big hit. Was that the first
Yes.
big single that you had, Why Don't You Do Right?
I had one before that, but it really wasn't like that. It was somebody else was taking my place.
Right.
And it was in Helen Forest Key. But it was...
So you didn't fool with that?
No.
But Why Don't You Do Right was the really...
That was really the
kickoff,
big
wasn't
one.
it? Yeah, you know a song that you do that I love?
What is that?
Is That All There Is?
Oh, well, I'll do that. Thank you.
That puts me away, that song. I don't know why. I just
I'll
sit there
sing
and
it to you at the Scandals.
Yeah, that's a new thing that's opening,
You
right?
will come?
You're supposed to open August the 15th, right?
Yes, and we had a big press party last evening at my home. And everyone is very excited, not just because it's a new, beautiful club. It's a $2.5 million club. But also because there's some kind of an excitement going on about rejuvenating Hollywood, you know, coming back to so we don't have to make the jokes about, you know...
There used to be a lot of places to play out here, and, you know, for jazz places and singers, and they kind of got phased out, as they did in a lot of cities like New York. And you see that kind of coming back now.
It's coming back.
There are places for artists to go and work, so they don't have to, as you say, make the road tours all the time.
That's right. And, you know, so many friends here say, why don't you play here? And I know they say that to Tony and to Jack Jones and to so many singers and
there aren't that many places, right?
And there really aren't that many places. Of course, the Dorothy Chandler Theater, which is marvelous, the Schubert Theater, Pantages. But this has an intimacy.
In the old days, I hate to say old days, but you had Ciro's. You had the Mocambo.
Yes.
You had places like that, and a lot of glamour up on the Sunset Strip.
That's what we're going to have there.
Yeah,
and a very intimate showroom. French boisserie with antique crystal chandeliers.
A high-class joint, huh?
Oh, really?
High-class saloon. Posh saloon.
Yes.
Somebody said you had a party at your house the other night, and you ran into a few little... You live up the hills, don't you?
Yes, I do. In the... I live on one of the Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And my neighbors and I have been having trouble with coyotes. And I have some nice things, like bunny rabbits. And two of the biggest robins I ever saw. I think they eat the dog food or something because they get huge.
Big robins?
Yes, enormous robins. And a squirrel and that throws acorns at you. He's cute, you know.
They do that in Beverly Hills. Squirrels are so nasty up there.
Very arrogant
Try to feed them and they throw the acorns back.
But we had an experience that I'm not...
Do you ever have possums come up, or raccoons?
Yes, raccoons. They come and wash their faces in the pool. They don't swim in there, but they come in and they wash all up and then they leave. And a quail, and we have a herd of deer that we see every once in a while. But since the coyotes have moved into the, well, I think we're getting rid of them, I hope.
The deer are leaving or the coyotes?
No, the coyotes. A beautiful herd of deer that comes down. But we suddenly discovered we had a snake at the back door and one at the office door.
That's class.
Oh, our very own snakes.
What kind of snakes?
Well, I don't know. One was 6 feet long.
That's called a long snake.
Yeah, I think it is.
The technical term is a long snake.
Yes, and I had a crew of men out there painting for the party. They're painting the exterior of the house.
And the snake
they
showed
didn't
up?
know what to do. I was like, oh, where is it down there? And so we called animal regulations, and the man said, what make of snake is it? And I said, well, sir, I'm not a herpetologist. I don't know what make of snake it is. It's beige and it has dark brown markings, and is not too pleased with us. And I said, the other one by the kitchen door is smaller.
It didn't rattle, though.
Well, no, he was sort of stretched out. That's how we knew how long he was. And so finally, when I got the animal regulations man, again, because I had to call back, and I said, this is beginning to be an emergency. We've now seen another snake. He said, are you sure you're seeing snakes? And I said, I'm not the only one. There are 7 or 8 people that have seen these snakes. We're not having DTs or anything. These are real snakes. And he said, well, I'm sorry, we can't search for snakes. I said, you don't have to search for them. They're right outside the door. And so then he said, well, unless you have the snake contained, well, I don't know, on a leash or what, you know.
Curb your snake.
We can't come up. So I called a big exterminating company.
Did they make it?
No, I said, please, would you come up and take care of these snakes? And they said, we would love to, but it's against the law. It's the new EPA law that you can't kill a snake. And so you get caught in a funny bind. I mean, my daughter said, well, is it against the law if the snake kills you? And I said, that's a good point.
That's okay, I think.
But
Actually, snakes serve a purpose unless they're poisonous.
oh, yes, good
They keep
ones.
the rodents down
King
and
snakes
so forth, yeah.
Yes, they do. And I'm all for, I love nature.
Yeah.
But I'm not too crazy about snakes.
Did they go away finally?
I think they just got bored waiting for the
Snakes have a low
animal
threshold of boredom.
regulations to come.
Look, when you're lying around that close to the ground all day, there's not a hell of a lot going on, you know. You'd get bored too, and you've been lying around a lot of times on the ground. You know, you get very bored after a while just lying there saying, "What's going
Someone
on up
in
there?"
the house said, "Why don't you pour hot water on him?" And I said, "What good would that do? They're cold-blooded. They wouldn't know what. I don't know what they'd do. I knew that it wouldn't do any good to put Raid on a 6-foot snake."
No, I don't think so. You look pretty silly out there too. You know, you might spray your snake. That's weird.
It's too late.
Well, I'm glad they got away safely.
Oh, I am too.
Can I ask you a question about singing?
Yeah.
If you're starting all over again, young lady, and you want to get in the entertainment business, would you still say, "Hey, I want to be a singer"?
Well, if I know what I know now,
Yeah.
I'd probably say no.
Really?
I love singing, but I'd sing around the house while I was writing a book or something
why?
like that. Well, it requires dedication if you're really
a lot of
serious about
discipline,
it.
true.
Oh, and it ruins a lot of marriages and things like that. You know, it has...
Makes for odd hours and a lot of time away from home and
yes.
all that.
And you know that people sometimes think that when you finish your last performance at 2, and you might have supper after that,
right.
That would be the equivalent. If you went right to bed, it would be the equivalent of going to bed at 5 o'clock. Now, you wouldn't want to do that, would you? Just go to bed right at 5, get out of the office, and...
Oh, no, that's usually after a show. You can't usually sleep until 5 or 6 in the morning.
Right, and you know, isn't it funny? Haven't you noticed that people think that we stay up like loonies because of that? But actually, those are our normal hours.
That's right. It's like if you're working in a club or a saloon or a hotel or whatever, and you do your last show and you finish at 2, it would be like somebody going home and going to sleep. So you have to do something, and the thing is to find things to do between 2 and 6 in the morning.
Is to find a can of sardines or...
Go out and spray a snake. Do weird things like that.
But it's strange that, you know, so many people working in hospitals and things like that. It's because we have so much fun doing what we do that they think that we're just celebrating all the time.
Now, what would you do if you had? Yeah, what would you do if you hadn't been a singer? Because you love it, obviously.
Oh, I love it.
What other
really
profession would you say, "Hey, I would really like to do"?
Well, I would like to be a writer.
Really?
And I'd like to do a little more painting.
Yeah.
And then I could rehearse a lot, because I love to rehearse.
Love to rehearse, just...
Oh, I just love to rehearse. It's difficult for me to make the show, but I love to rehearse.
In other words, that'd be a whole new profession. What do you do? I'm going to be a rehearser.
Yes.
All you do is just rehearse and never perform any place and paint and do whatever you want.
Uh-huh. Be marvelous. Just wonderful.
Let me take a break. You're going to do some other stuff for us, aren't you?
Oh, I'd love to.
Well, we got you here. What'd you say, Fred?
Do another day or two.
Sure. We can do it wherever you like, Fred. You're the producer.
Oh,
Maybe she'd like to sit in your chair and do it.
I have a little song I did write. It's about this long.
Can you do it now?
Yes. If we reverse the order of things,
Sure.
we were going to surprise you with it. This was a pure inspiration from my own garden, looking outside and seeing the things that are in this lyric.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You can do it right from here?
It's brand new, and it's the first time it's ever been performed. Could we do that one? We can do that one.